The thing that I've noticed in myself and the people that I've helped is that many people approach personal development and growth from the belief that there's something wrong with them. So, what does that look like? Like, what is the behavior that is linked to that? It's when we buy another course, it's when we buy another book, it's we're hiring another coach, listening to another podcast. And it's not just because we're curious, it's because we're secretly hoping that someone will be able to finally tell us what's wrong and how to fix it. And I genuinely today want to challenge this entire paradigm.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, and I just got to tell you, like straight up, that I have been spending like years and years and years obsessed with personal development, obsessed with coaching and mindset work and manifestation and trauma work and human behavior. And I got to tell you that there was a point in my life where back in, I don't know, like 2012-ish, I was accepted into this leadership immersion program at work. And it really lit this fire inside of me of all the things that there was to learn and how I could make myself even better, right? Like it was so fascinating, so much fun. I began my own business in 2016, and I recognized very early on that you don't need therapy when you're a business owner, because literally like all of your limiting beliefs are going to start to bubble to the surface. And that was what I was finding, that it was literally becoming personal development with a paycheck. And I was having to figure out what was holding myself back and how I could fix the things that I needed to make myself even better. And I loved learning. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, you see I'm surrounded by books. And every single one of them are nonfiction, like personal development. Like I love to learn. But there has been something that I have really, really shifted in the last little bit here, and it has completely changed the entire way that I look at personal development. Because the thing that I've noticed in myself and the people that I've helped is that many people approach personal development and growth from the belief that there's something wrong with them. So what does that look like? Like, what is the behavior that is linked to that? It's when we buy another course, it's we buy another book, it's we're hiring another coach, listening to another podcast. And it's not just because we're curious, it's because we're secretly hoping that someone will be able to finally tell us what's wrong and how to fix it. And I genuinely today want to challenge this entire paradigm. I want to challenge the way that I've been thinking, the way that I've been operating for decades, and really shift the way that I believe all of us can start looking at personal development. But first, I'm going to just talk about the trap I think that personal development has created for a lot of us. And so once we know, like we can start to see it differently, and we can start to perhaps like shift the way that we go forward. And the first thing I want to acknowledge is that we're conditioned to believe certain things. We're conditioned to believe that better grades means that I'm more worthy, right? Like from when we're little. Better grades meant that I got a little bit more attention, right? More achievement meant that I was more valuable. So when I think about being in high school, for example, and trying to become somebody that would be able to get a scholarship, or becoming a nurse and being on every single committee to get into anesthesia school. And so all of these things, like more achievement meant more valuable, and then more success meant more lovable. And as a result, personal development then actually became just another form of self-rejection, because we're constantly trying to become acceptable. And I think back to my own personal professional career, right? So I worked really hard to become the salutatorian of my high school class, had a full ride to college, graduated 4.0, got myself into a very, very high functioning cardiac surgery ICU at the Mayo Clinic in order to then become a student, I guess, in the Mayo Clinic Mayo Clinic nurse anesthesia program, and then went on to get my doctorate, but went on to teach for the Mayo's Doctor of Nurse Anesthesia program, like been on all the committees, like doing all the things. And I recognize that there is part of me as a high achiever that enjoys seeing what I'm capable of. Like there's a fun playfulness in that. But I would say it's more now than what it was then, because the reality is that back then, when I was getting another degree and getting the best grades and graduating at the top of my anesthesia class and doing all the things, I genuinely now have to look back on myself and say that I was trying to prove my worth to myself. That once I got here, then I would finally have made it, or then I would finally arrive. But then the problem is that every new level came with another expectation. I never celebrated for more than half a second, and then I was on to the next thing. And I was constantly chasing something that was never achievable because it was never good enough once I got there. And so I was constantly chasing new ways to finally make myself whole, to finally make myself worthy, to finally make myself good enough, valuable enough. And so I'm going to ask you, what if your growth journey has been fueled by the belief that who you are right now isn't enough? Now, I have clients that have consistently shown very similar patterns, right? Like we oftentimes will attract people just like us. And so I would have women that would literally collect certifications. Like, oh, I want to learn this. 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 And literally they become the expert in all these things, but they never actually implement in a way that takes their business to that next level. They just collect certifications. I have entrepreneurs that never quite feel ready. They've been talking about starting their book for years. But once I read another book, or once I have another thing, or maybe once I go to a retreat where I have all the time to do it, then I can do it, right? The entrepreneur who never feels ready. Or the high achiever who reaches every goal and still feel like that it hasn't arrived. Oh my goodness, like I do some executive coaching, and I find that even people that have multi-million-dollar businesses, they set their goals super high, they achieve them, and like they celebrate for like 0.2 of a second, and they're on to the next year. Okay, now we have the next year-end goal. Now we have to get to the next awards year. Now we have to whatever. And I literally had to have my client tell me, accountability-wise, like, when are you going to celebrate with your wife? The two of you go out, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get 2 steaks at Pittsburgh Blue, and I'm going to take Maria out, and I'm going to do all these things. Awesome. But I had to force him to celebrate it because all of a sudden we're on to the next thing, right? So here's the deal. Fixing yourself doesn't work. And let me explain this. When we believe that we're broken, then every challenge becomes evidence that we're broken. So you launch and nobody shows up, or you didn't get the sales goal that you wanted to. So then all of a sudden it becomes evidence, right? A relationship starts to struggle, money feels tight, and we immediately ask ourselves, well, what's wrong with me? And that problem is that the question assumes that the answer is you, that something is wrong with you, right? And I've caught myself into this same paradigm so many times before, because it's like, okay, well, I know that this is going to happen, but what am I not doing to make it happen? Or what am I not doing? Or what am I doing? Or whatever the case may be, like, what is wrong with me? And how could I fix me in order to make it happen? But I have got to tell you that the new paradigm that I have is all about becoming instead of fixing. Because most people aren't stuck because they're broken. They're stuck because they're operating from an identity that no longer matches where they're being called to go. And that is a very, very different thing. One of them creates shame. The other one creates possibility. So when I talk about the becoming part, I'm going to give you an analogy, like a seed, for example. An acorn does not feel broken because it's not a tree yet. A caterpillar does not feel broken or isn't broken because it's not a butterfly. And growth isn't fixing, growth is becoming. Because God is not asking us to become somebody else. He's inviting us to become more fully of who we've been designed to be, the code that is within us that's ready to be expressed, the seed that's within us that is ready to be fully realized. And that is a completely different journey. So I think about when I left anesthesia, when I think about building my business, and there was a moment in there where it was not exactly what I wanted it to be. There was a moment in there where I was like, this is not fulfilling me as much as I wanted to. I wasn't making the money that I thought I was going to be making. I wasn't as satisfied as I thought I was going to be. And so what did I do? I went back and I thought that I needed more information. I needed another coach. I needed to hire this person and this person and this person and read this book and this book. And I needed to become literally somebody who had all of this knowledge. But what I really needed, now that I understand, what I really needed was to have the courage to become a different version of myself. And so what I want you to acknowledge, friend, is that maybe the next level of your life isn't waiting for you to fix yourself. Maybe it's waiting for you to stop treating yourself like a problem to solve. I'm going to give you this analogy that I use over and over again, that if I look at my life, if I look at my circumstances, if I look at what I want that is not happening or materializing the way that I want, and we look at it and we align ourselves with it and we try to solve it, and we think of to ourselves, well, what is my block? Where am I stuck? What is the root of my block? What are my limiting beliefs? How do I solve them? How do I fix them? What do I do? Right? All we're doing is realigning ourselves with the problem. Meanwhile, there is a version of you who is coexisting at a different frequency. Meanwhile, there is a version of you who has the programming inside of your human design, inside of your soul, inside of the desires God has planted on your heart, that is literally just blossoming underneath the surface. You don't plant a seed and then dig it up every day and look for evidence that it's growing. We plant it, we water it, we do what we can, but we know and we trust that it's growing. And that someday when we continue to do what we need to do, it will grow into a tree. So what if we stop trying to fix ourselves? What if we stop trying to realign ourselves with the version of us that's not what we think that we should be, and actually start to operate from the version of ourselves that already has it? Start to operate from the solution aware, from the solution expressed, from the expectation that everything is working out. Once we start to operate and allow ourselves to continue to become the version of ourselves that is expressing the life that we want, instead of trying to fix it, everything will start to shift. So as we conclude today's podcast, I want you to ask yourself, where in your life are you still trying to fix something that is actually asking to be transformed? That is where we start to make major shifts. I'll see you next week inside of the Spiral Up podcast. And if you are finding yourself stuck between where you are and who you want to be, and you're not quite sure how that looks or what that can look like, and you really don't know what that gap is all consisting of, I'm going to invite you to go to my website and grab one of my limited monthly spots where I will take you through an identity gap assessment, where I'm going to show you exactly where you're operating right now, who you need to be, and allow yourself to recognize what you can do to fill that gap. Because friends, this is not about fixing ourselves. This is about recognizing where we are, who we want to be, and how do we close that gap. And I can't wait to see you inside of the next episode. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.